Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Feedback Friday. This is where Tim and I invite folks up on stage to take a look at your resume or your portfolio with a goal of helping you iterate that design asset and assisting you with your goals. We'll invite you up on stage. We'll learn a little bit about you, get some context about who you are and where you are in your career growth. A couple of prerequisites for you. Tim and I are, in fact, streaming live on YouTube. There's a link in the chat if you scroll to the very top, which means, A, you don't have to take any notes, and that's nice. B, everything is being recorded. So if there's something you want to showcase that you don't want presented to the greater world, like, for example, your phone number on your resume, you may want to censor it before showcasing it with us or potentially sharing a different asset instead. We do this, if you're new here, we do this every Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think those are all the bullet points. For those who have come here frequently, we have another guest speaker coming next week, a guy named Jason Wishard, very heavy in the design industry, a hiring manager. I'm sorry? Oh, I don't know what Tim mentioned, but I'm guessing he's going to be right back. Heavy player in the design industry. So hiring manager, currently working at a Fortune 25 in the healthcare space, similar to myself, previously with Meta. He'll be here next week to chat and hang out with us as well. All right, looking at the chat, we've got quite a few links now. Copy Ninja, let me add you to the list, and then we'll go ahead and jump in. Copy Ninja.
Hey, is the stream working? Is the stream up?
It should be. Scroll up to the top of the chat. I've got it open somewhere, but I'm adding stuff to the list at the moment.
This screen share working.
Oh, yeah, it sure is.
Okay, great. Exactly. It is not always 2 a.m. your time. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do this. Who's up first today, Nate?
First on the list, we've got Vaishnavi, and it looks like we're looking at a graphic design portfolio.
All right, Vaishnavi, let me grab this, and then I will invite you onto the stage. Vaishnavi, as you come onto the stage, will you go ahead and share a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and then maybe what some of your goals for today might be?
Hey guys, this is Vaishnavi. I think I came into the design to this event 2 weeks ago, and I got a lot of good feedback. I'm a product designer and a founder, so I have a very unconventional background. I started off in cybersecurity at Bank of America, then I worked in data intelligence in Dubai, and the common theme that I found throughout my 3 experiences was that everything really is about product design and user experience. So that is something that actually brought me into this. And the last time, the feedback that I got was to switch from Wix, which I'm actually in the process of doing right now. I kind of tested out Claude Code and Framer. I have settled on Framer just because, as you can see, I have a lot of 3D components that I want to keep. And Claude tends to just make them flat. And so after a little bit of a back and forth fighting with Claude, I decided that Framer would be the best option for that. But yeah, I still wanted to, even though this is not fully complete, I still wanted to get this in front of you guys today, and as I'm building it up, get your guys' insights.
Welcome back, Vaishnavi. It's Vaishnavi, right? Vaishnavi. Okay. Please, everyone, kick me under the table in my shins as much as I need. You can break my shins so I can say your name correctly. It's important to me. I'm just really bad at it. So it's a personal thing. Great. So I do see, yeah, we've ported this over. I remember previously, it was kind of you had on your website a link to something you'd built. You were talking about your creative platform. You were focused on trying to connect with maybe startup and founder type individuals. Is that correct? Am I remembering that?
Yes, great memory.
Okay. Okay, very good. So where would you like us to be today? Because I see you have you have a full new website, like a brand new website right off the lot. Maybe a little
Yeah.
bit still in the lot in some ways, but very new. And I'm wondering, where would you like us to be to help you?
So maybe case studies, and also I do have an interactive element there. So if you like, actually, if you go back to the homepage and you like start typing on your keyboard, it's gonna type on the computer. Are you able to see it?
Yeah. Do you see? Let me Am I sharing stream audio? Let me. Oh, I'm sharing stream audio, right? Yeah. It should
Yes,
be.
yes, I think
Should be
it's
able to
just
hear
like
it.
tiny. But yeah, it has an interactive element, and if you click on the icons, that also takes you to different places. I hope you're having fun with the typing, Tim.
Yeah. Hopefully it's visible. I don't know if the stream can see it.
My screen is tiny, so I would have to. Hello, everyone. Okay, I see that.
Okay. Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Also,
Yeah.
is that native Zoom? It's a canvas. Okay.
Sorry?
You have a canvas tool. Nice.
Yes.
Is this is the Cloud Code build? Is that correct?
No, this is not. I built it out in Spline 3D, and I also used a little bit of Blender here and there, so that's why I had to go back to Cloud Code, but it's like everything is like built out in Spline 3D. Case studies is where I would love to get your guys' feedback. One of the things is that I have a lot of corporate experience, and like I mentioned previously, I worked in cybersecurity and data intelligence where I was building products, but it's a lot of sensitive information, so I cannot like actually go out there and put screenshots. So I have tried to, like really like neutralize and like white page it, but I still think like I'm like still, and I would love to hear your guys' feedback about like what I can do um to like give the visual representation, because I think like that is one thing in these two studies, or these three studies particularly, that's kind of like missing here, at least in my opinion.
Okay. Well, Nate, I think we are prepared to speak on this. Nate, have you already taken a peek at any of these?
I've taken a peek at the first one briefly, and in regard to the feedback, Vaishnavi, there are all kinds of directions we could go. I love that you're trying to focus on case studies here. There are certainly some UI hurdles and friction points that it looks like you're still working around. Is that sounding right to you, that the overall UI of the website, that's still in construction at the moment?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Next time you see it, it's going to be in Framer and just a lot better than Wix, honestly.
Totally following. Yeah, so I'm going to ignore all of that then. And I'm understanding that you're still in Wix. Understood. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Let me go back to, let's go. Which case study do you want to take a look at? Typically, we prioritize the first one. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'm pulling it up and I'm reading through it briefly. So you are already doing a lot of things really well.
Thank you.
There are no, I haven't scrolled through the entire thing yet, but so far there are no immediate gotchas that you don't have, with maybe the exception of some generic housekeeping stuff at the top. So
I have a couple things, Nate. I think we have some opportunities here.
Sure, sounds good. Let's talk about housekeeping, and I'll pass the mic. So the housekeeping stuff at the top. Have you heard us talk about that phrase housekeeping before?
Is it more like the nav bar?
No. So it's slightly different. So the goal is your portfolio is typically targeting three audiences: the recruiter, hiring manager, and then a third audience called what we're calling future peers. What we're trying to do is that first audience, the recruiters. So the hurdle is recruiters don't typically have a deep understanding of what you do or who you are or what your skill sets, or really the job description itself, right? So their goal is to take a look at job description A and then candidate A, and then match up key phrases for both of those documents. So the goal is we can assist with that process by adding what we refer to as housekeeping at the top of every case study. And the housekeeping is things like, what was your role with the project? What was the timeline? What industry did you work in? It's like some real factual things. What tools did you use? Some real factual things with a goal of SEO, not necessarily storytelling. Is that making sense?
Gotcha. Yes, no, that totally does, because one of the things that I've been thinking about is, like, just I have built this out from my head. Like, I know the work. I know what was going through my head, but the other person who's looking at it, especially like, because I have to be vague, and especially like the three out of the four biggest case studies. So that totally makes sense, and I think like housekeeping is gonna benefit a lot more. And also, Tim, I actually restricted access because I think you guys mentioned that you're recording it, and my resume has my number, so that's why. If you're not able to see my resume, that's why.
No, I'm not looking for your resume.
You pulled it real fast. Well done.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, might as well. That is something also I have thought about, because, I want to put my resume on my portfolio, but I don't know if like people are putting their numbers out there, because, this is on a website. So, I mean, maybe it doesn't really matter. I don't think I get spam calls either way, so.
I don't have a strong opinion here. I have chosen to not include my phone number on my website with the sole purpose of preventing spam calls, though there's some exceptions there. There are a couple occasions in which my phone number is injected through JavaScript, given the right context. For example, on my resume page, if somebody hits the print button and they want to print my resume, then the phone number appears in the printed version, but not in the digital version, which is kind of
really
cool.
smart.
But yeah, I mean, like it's a very clever, subtle tactic, but who's ever going to notice it? I don't know that it's ever going to provide value. But those options are available for you in the right circumstances.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually really smart. I'm gonna remember that. But yeah, housekeeping is definitely something that's gonna go on top of my list now. Um, is there anything else that you guys have for me?
Yeah, so case study wise, there's a couple of things I'm noticing. I had the experience recently of even talking with someone, a hiring manager, about case studies. One thing that they reminded me is that it's better to have a case study that is very micro in scope, but very detailed in decision making. And so for any case study, what I'd be looking for is not necessarily like revealing tons of personal or sensitive information, but really explaining your thought process and showing the receipt or the evidence of why you've made a decision.
Gotcha.
And as I'm looking at this, I'm seeing here you have a problem outline, data's here, priorities are nowhere. You're saying risk data showed this. Or you're saying there's like some underlying methodology here, but then it's very executional, right? Like you it's something you did, something you did, something you did, something you did, but and it's an outcome, and that's probably a good core. I am missing though the things that informed this decision making, and therefore the context for why I would believe this to be correct. Part of your goal with the case study is to get me up to speed fast enough that I will understand the context to understand why you are making the greatest decision in product design that has ever been made, bar none. Right? And if I don't understand enough of the context or enough of your decision making process to believe that this was all the correct choice and come to a very similar conclusion, then maybe you're leaving it up to a more interpretation. Things are a little bit more lukewarm in their explanation. Even if you have good artifacts, if the journey isn't clear, I might be worried about that. I do think you have some interesting assets here for like showing like these are like very conceptual level rather than I think like actual artifacts. Okay, I would be surprised if this was the actual UI that you shipped as part of this. And so I think that's kind of interesting to show concepts, show art that conveys concepts rather than actual outcomes. But I'd be looking I honestly I'd be looking for much more about you talking about your decision making and stuff. I'd also really
Gotcha.
watch out for the Claude Code writing style. Um, the Claude writing style is often a statement. It does this, that, very, very much. So you'll see here like
Yeah.
prioritize first, read line second, hand it back. Uh, Data was everywhere, priorities were nowhere. It often does this like dichotomy in how it writes. It's very dramatic. I just watch out for that because that is, it's fine probably once or twice. When you're reading a very long case study though, and you see it over and over again, it gets old super, super fast. Like for example, data is everywhere, priorities are nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Risk data, so that you have your this, then you have your that again right there. Then you have your this, and then you have your that again. And then we have 3 of them, and we have our I spoke to my boss about what exactly needs at a glance and worked backwards from decisions. Cut repetition, surface severity, replace first volume, use decision first use. Very much mimicking here. It just ends up being very repetitive, and I think it probably underserves the actual value in skills and talents that you have when it's packaged this way. So I'd counsel watch out for that with your copywriting. We often I don't know if Nate says this, but I often say lukewarm visuals can often be carried by exceptional copywriting, but visuals cannot carry bad copywriting. The writing that you use on your case study matters a lot, and it's worth spending the time to get it right.
No, that totally makes sense. I think it was incredibly hard to, be so vague and then like build a case study out of this. So I think like based on your feedback though, I actually think I will have a lot more content because the decision making process and like I can also talk about because we worked with tech executives and the leadership team. So like stuff like that, if I can talk about that, that's content in itself too, which is going to give context. So I think like that is going to help me a lot more. And I think I'm just going to like personally write it myself, all of it, because while I'm building the new site and Framer, honestly, I think like it's gonna be more original and I totally get that. I see this on LinkedIn all the time. So like even as I was like putting it on there, I was kind of like, it sounds very cloudy. Um, so I think I'm just gonna write it on my own and then if it has any like grammatical errors, then it's just human error and it looks like I actually wrote it though. So
Yeah, I would say Claude's usually pretty good for outlining stuff.
okay.
Well, I mean, maybe. I would definitely brain dump this, and then maybe create an outline from your brain dump, and then work off of that out, and put it back into your own words. But maybe using it to help organize, but probably not write the content from your own outline. It's just one of those things that anytime you have to read the words, the syntax becomes really, really significant for human eyes.
Yeah.
If it was AI reading it, or if it was like notes or something archival, I think it's a little bit different. It's not as big of a deal, but for something that humans are going to be looking at a lot, it does end up mattering. Nate, do you want to comment on maybe the image to text ratio?
Well, there's certainly something there. And this actually, I want to step one elevation higher. And Vaishnavi, you have mentioned that this case study is purposefully vague. Would you mind describing, going more into that, and what's the purpose of that?
Yes, so I used to work in vulnerability management, and this case study is related to the vulnerabilities that I was working with at Bank of America. So we would get these like huge Excel sheets with all of these data points with a lot of sensitive information about like software, hardware, financial stuff related, regulatory related. And basically, like, we had to translate that into these dashboards that were then sent out to the tech executives that were directly reporting to the CTO of Bank of America. So this was like very high level and like the data though that we received was very low level. And maybe this is like the kind of context that I can put in there and when I first started, this data was like literally being shared um, in Excel just like, cleaned up a little bit, like very like prematurely. So one of my tasks was to be one of the, like, I started with supporting and then I started leading it. I think like 6 or 7 months into my role, was to make it pretty and make it very like the tech executive, again, very high level people, like they just see it and they're like, okay, these are the vulnerabilities that I have to remediate, and like these are the people that I need to contact. This is the SLA. So that is the kind of stuff that we were working on, and this is what the dashboard conveyed. Does that kind of answer your question?
Well, it totally does. Where my mind is at is if we go back to those three target audiences, recruiters, hiring managers, if we focus on hiring managers, then they will dive into your case study with a goal of better understanding how you go about solving problems, how you go about your decision making. So the quandary that Tim was pointing out is that section, the approach section that describes all the different steps that you had achieved. That's the core section of the case study that we'd be looking to expand. The hurdle is your current case study doesn't divulge how you went about solving problems. So in its current state, I'm struggling to find value in the case study if it even positions you accurately. And it sounds like the constraint that you're having to work around is, can I even showcase any of that?
Yes.
Let me ask did you end up signing any NDAs?
No, but it was like, they don't have NDAs, but like in our employee, like when I signed, like there is no separate NDA document, but when I signed on, or like when I signed for the role and like the offer letter and stuff, like I was told that I'm working with very confidential data. Like another example is that that data was so confidential that when like a part of like what I was doing was training LLMs, and I couldn't even use that data to train internal LLMs, or I couldn't like email that data. Like there was a particular internal tool that I could use to like send that information, and these dashboards, like they were only accessible by like a handful of people. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't want Bank of America to come after me, and like I also like don't want to like be revealing sensitive information anyway, because it is like, people's finances, something very personal. So like on my conscience too, I don't want to have that, but that is the kind of data that I was dealing with.
Good, totally understand. Yeah. So like we're disregarding any NDAs. You still have, I'm assuming you're within the United States?
No, I'm not in the US right now. Well, right now I'm not.
Sure. And I guess I shouldn't even need to clarify, because no matter where you are, chances are there are financial legal requirements that you also have to abide by. And that is probably the case. So with that in mind,
my question would be, to just kind of go down here, not to cut it too short, is that those assets and that data sounds like it is confidential. The process and story of acquiring that data and then the decision on how you use that data, is that confidential?
No, I think like I could present it in a very generic way, because I mean like I think every company takes vulnerabilities and like assesses the risk based on certain criteria, and I'm trying to like I'm like literally thinking this out loud, and then I could put it and be like, oh, this was risk one as decided by, because like I didn't decide what was going to be like the highest risk. It was the senior leadership, and I think like very like typical corporate manner, like it trickled down to us and was like, okay, like this is the data that we have to use, and present it this way, kind of thing. So I'm like really trying to be like, I could present it that way, like still keep it vague, but still give an idea of like why this decision was made. Yeah, I'm like, I definitely feel like I need to think a little bit more on this.
Well, let's circle back to the image text ratio. So where Tim is headed with this, which I think is the right call, is at the moment, I don't think the case study is providing value for you because it doesn't describe your decision making, nor is it able to showcase any of that effort that you've done. In regard to the screenshots and the actual like visuality of the thing, I'm in the healthcare space, also following a lot of that legal legislation.
Right.
And we bypass that through synthetic data typically. So I can showcase the stuff that I've done disregarding HIPAA legislation, which is our localized healthcare legislation, thanks to just using synthesized data that's completely inaccurate to any factuality. So are you able to dive down that path, showcase some of the screens that you were able to develop using dummy data?
I see, like, with vulnerabilities, it's like so specific. I could just like come up with names of the vulnerabilities and like and mention that in the case study that purposely like that information has been changed because this is sensitive information and all of that because I I just because if that data was so sensitive that like we couldn't even email it like internally to each other.
Yeah.
And I also worked in healthcare and data intelligence. I also feel like, and Nate, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like a lot of the times, like people in healthcare, like they don't think about that this might be sensitive information, versus in like financial institutions. At least like if I were to compare my two experiences, like in financial institutions, I think like psychologically people are like, oh, this is like finance related, so this is like money related, so we have to be careful, versus like I think a lot of the times like, and I feel like this is probably a separate conversation, but um I just like I'm very conflicted because if you'll see, so Pure CS is the health tech company that I worked in Dubai in data intelligence, and I was actually able to use a little bit more information. I was still not able to use any screenshots um, from that. So I'm kind of like, I could do dummy data, just like, make up some vulnerability names and kind of like make up, I don't know, Jane Doe, John Doe, and like, so tech executive names, and then like be like, oh, this is how we prioritized it. Would that kind
Yeah.
of make sense?
I'd be cautious about going too generic. Because once
Okay.
you start to go too generic, it will start to look like a case study, like a canned case study. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would I would look into the restrictions around what you can actually do or not do. I would research other people who have worked at Bank of America or other people who have done similar projects and see what
Mm-hmm.
they're showing online. If you've never received a cease and desist, I think both Nate and I have before. I don't know. I don't know. We're not going to talk about those things in depth, but it's interesting to just that experience can be quite a bit. So I think avoiding it is the right choice.
Yeah,
Be safe.
same.
Don't overdo it. But even still, there's so much you can show that would not violate certain requirements. Like again, talking about the process, talking about your thinking. Even if you were to say like, hey, we collected data from this type of consumer and user, here's how we recruited them. Here was our process for like filtering out that data. I did this sort of methodology to make sure the data was good. Here are some of the types of insights I was finding and a couple of like narrative stories that back that sequence up. Using that data, here's how I decided to process it. Here's how it informed a decision. Here
Mm-hmm.
is like a mock of that, in process of like what it looked like before, what it looks like now. Any UI that work that you might have done that is available publicly would be yours to
Uh-huh.
share. That's a typical requirement. So like if it's in the Bank of America mobile app, for example, or if it's on their website, that's stuff that you can show, unless it's blocked by uh, proprietary like subscription or certain payment requirements. So
So
publicly available becomes
yeah,
really important there. So that'll be
so
up to
not
you to research though, and to kind of
yeah.
go through that.
None of my work is publicly available. It's like very like internal and also like very specifically, um, like I mentioned before, for specific people. But I did get an idea. So once I'm gonna be back in the U.S., I'm gonna meet up with my manager for a coffee chat, and I'm just gonna ask him honestly. I mean, like, I mean, he's very supportive. He's kind of like a mentor, so. I'll just be like, hey, I'm building this out. I don't want to go into the gray areas, um, and just go from there.
Love the direction there. Keep in mind, if you do sit down with your manager and ask him specifically what you can share on your portfolio, he will also be understanding that you are currently job searching. That is just a consequence of that
He's my
conversation.
previous manager. I'm
Previous
not a
manager.
fake of him.
Perfect.
Yes,
Great.
yes, I should have said that. Yes.
Understood. Well, Vaishnavi, I don't know how much value we were able to provide for you. You're in a tough place, and I hope you're able to figure out some way to bend those constraints a bit.
Yeah, no, this was super helpful. I really appreciate it again, you guys. I am gonna take a couple weeks to update it just because also I don't think I'm gonna see my ex-manager for another 2 weeks. So, once I do, and I'm gonna update that because I think like I need to like, get it out. If he says like, oh, you can use anything, I'm just gonna like come up with something that is a little bit more vague because it's not I feel like this is the work that I did. I can talk about it, especially since I'm not there anymore. um, but yeah, I this was super helpful. I'm actually excited to kind of like dive into this better and like talk about my decision making process. So I appreciate your guys' time.
Appreciate you hanging out with us.
Thank you.
All right, Tim, next on the list is Rohan Tandon. Rohan, if you're out there, stick your hands up in the air. Tim will find you either way.
I gotcha. All right, come on, Rohan. When you're up here, go let us know. Hello. Go ahead, let us know what to call you, and then give us a quick insight into your background, who you are, what you're doing, and then how we can support you today.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me on here. Yeah, a little bit about me. My name is Rohan. I'm a designer plus engineer, and a lot of my work is kind of just a blend of that. And these top two projects are my personal projects, and then everything below is just case studies from my previous roles. And then I also have about and CV sections where there's a little bit about my process and places that I worked at before. And yeah, I would appreciate any feedback on the layout, uh, any feedback on the flow of the site, and just anything that stands out to you.
Okay. So today, so as we're looking at this, where would you like us to offer insights the most? Because we can spend time on your like positioning. That could be your about page. It might be like your initial landing page. We can get into some of the maybe like who do you want to target. We can also
Yeah.
go through and do like the we could do like a case study thing. We probably
Yeah.
don't have time for all of them though, so it'll
Right.
be
Yeah.
kind of-
No, I think something that kind of stands on something that's on top of my head is if you go to my CV section, I have in the past year in my work experience, you'll see some of the clients I've been working on as an independent contractor in my kind of work experience. My role since October 2024. So there's a lot of these clients, and a lot of the work is also under NDA. And I was eavesdropping on the person before, and you also talked a little bit about putting out some work that could be under NDA. So I've been thinking about how I should be approaching those case studies and those projects. Perhaps maybe with a password, and then sending out the password to the recruiter. Um, but yeah.
Let's talk about NDAs for a second. NDAs come in all different sizes and shapes. Now, one quick clarifying question. You know for certain, objectively, with no doubt, that there was an NDA document that you have signed, and it wasn't some other document that wasn't an NDA. You know objectively it was an NDA?
Yes, sir.
Cool. You would be surprised how frequently that question comes back with obscure answers, and then it turns out they don't actually have an NDA constraint in the first place. But seeing some of the clientele and projects that you've worked with can understand how these NDAs would be in place. Cool. So then the question is, what shape is your NDA? And a lot of them have different constraints and requirements. So Tim and I probably won't be able to provide feedback without looking at your NDA. The things that I'd be looking for is they typically have a bunch of stipulations like time requirements, public requirements. Have you dived into your NDA and like figured out what those stipulations are?
No mention of time specifically. It's just about around privacy and secrecy of the projects themselves. Some of the work is public now, and it's been shipped. Some of the work is still on their roadmap, uh, from what I've kept track of. Yeah.
And the NDA doesn't have an expiration of any kind.
None that I noticed.
Okay. Yeah, it's not unusual to see 3-year or 2-year expirations.
Okay.
If you're unsure, that'd be worth a second look. But if we assume that there is, then it sounds like you're in a tough spot.
Is most of this tied up over at this contract-driven work you did here at this top one?
Yeah, there's a bunch of clients I had in the past 2 years. Yeah, some of the work is public, some of it is not yet, and that's what I've been thinking about.
Okay. Is the concern, and these NDAs, are they completely like can't talk about the concept of it, can't show any creative work for it, can't talk about the research behind it, like completely sealed off?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
if that's the case, I think you should still. There's a bunch of ways. There's a bunch of things I'm thinking as we look at this. Nate, if you have directions you want to take it, but let's do it. I'm ready to do this.
Well, the only thing that comes to mind, Tim, is Rohan was mentioning that maybe a password protected portfolio is the right direction here. And the quandary I have with that is that still theoretically violates your NDA. If you showcase it to 1,000 people versus 1 people, that's still a violation, right? Now, NDAs will often stipulate that, like, hey, if you want to password protect it and show it to only future employers, that's okay. NDAs will often be specific about that. But without knowing the deeper constraints there.
No, but I'm thinking about the work that's public now. Would it make sense to put it out there, or and credit myself for it, or would it be still something that the NDA still kind of blocks me out from that?
Without knowing the verbiage, Tim and I will speculate. You're probably good to go. However, NDAs often protect intellectual property, not typically the public like access to things. So if there is some intellectual property behind the application, despite it being public, you still may have constraints in those areas.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on it's called a creative invention. What's the word for it? There's like a patent type of contract you can sign that's a little bit separate from your NDA. That unless it states that you completely give over the rights of ownership and attribution, U.S. law typically protects the creative right of the artist. That if there is something viewable by the public, you have the right to be attributed to it, and you cannot be stopped from attributing yourself to that work. That does not mean you can claim ownership of it. It just means you can state that you were a part of this, you contributed to this project, and you can showcase it as long as it is in good faith still also accessible by the public. So, an example of that, I have no idea. I don't want to speculate too hard. Again, it, like Nate said, it depends largely on what exactly is in these things. But say you were working with OpenAI and you helped them to design part of their new logo type system right when they did their big rebrand. Now that it's public, you could say, hey, I helped with this rebrand project, and here's some of the thoughts and things I did along the way as part of this, showcasing official materials and assets that OpenAI might have. So as long as, again, it's not like internal docs, it's not sketches that would be considered owned by them at that point, but this would be like you're linking out to articles that they've done and stuff along the way. Usually would be safe depending on the license. The thing is, though, you have some pretty big names on here. I imagine OpenAI definitely would sue you. Google, Meta, Perplexity, Microsoft. These are all the kind of people who would probably actually come after you in terms of the AI world. So playing it safe would actually be pretty prudent for you, I think. But I also imagine that, as an artist, you have a right to show your work that you've done here. To say like, hey, I did work for Perplexity. even if I only have like 2 paragraphs describing that work, and you say, this is NDA protected, please book a call to talk about this in greater length or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, so in my mind, we were talking about you signing an NDA, and my perception was that you worked with an organization that then contracted out to all these folk. But I'm seeing in this section here that you work separately with each of these companies. Is that as a contractor? Is that accurate?
Yeah, yeah, as an independent contractor.
And you signed an NDA with every single one of these?
Yeah, because there were also at different times that I didn't work at them at the same time.
So you've got, in this case, like 8 different NDAs that you have to go back and review the verbiage on.
That's right. There's quite a few there, but I think what stood out to me was like what you said is if something's public, then as long as I'm not putting out any internal iterations or any internal documentation, I think it still constitutes for making the work publicly available.
That's where Tim and I we just can't provide you any sort of feedback there.
Yeah.
Our speculation is that
we're not legal consultants.
Yeah.
We're not legal consultants.
You will likely be
how
okay.
other designers kind of navigate around it, but
Yeah, you will likely be fine, but it's very possible your NDAs have deeper requirements that Tim and I are unaware of.
Yeah.
Especially for some of these big companies.
Yeah. No, very lengthy documents too.
Rohan, your portfolio is doing a lot of cool stuff. We've looked at your CV for a little bit there, and we've talked about NDAs fairly extensively. I'm looking at the clock. We've got another 5 minutes or so. Anything else you want to take a look at and focus on?
Another thing is that I treat my portfolio as a lot of different things. There's, of course, projects from all of these different previous companies and so on. There's also my personal projects on the top. And then also in the visual craft, there's kind of artworks I've made that are just nothing to do with product design or engineering. There's a lot of things happening there. And I was curious, what's your thoughts on, what are your thoughts on just a lot of things happening at once? Is it too much stimulation?
What's your goal? Is your goal to get hired at an organization somewhere to continue contracting, break into the freelance world?
Yeah, my 2 goals is definitely having one place where all of my work is consolidated. So not just the UX and engineering work, but also some of the artworks I've made within visual craft section. But also having this portfolio for getting more clients and working with more places, essentially.
Yeah. Tim, let's talk about positioning. I've got some thoughts, but I've also bogarted the mic for a bit. You have any thoughts on positioning?
Yeah. So for your specific positioning as a design engineer, essentially is what you're claiming to be, there's a couple of things I immediately want to see, which is going to be motion work. It's going to be good UI aesthetic. And maybe a little bit less leaning into that UX, or more on the side of like build things that look real, feel real, have good experiences. And so I'm looking for consistency. I do see consistency. I see a lot of motion design. There's a couple places where maybe it's not as cohesive as it could be. But also like that's going to be nitpicking. Like, let's be honest, like your presentation here is very good. You could probably nitpick and say, you don't need to have this change state every single time you tab away. Okay. And you could also probably make an argument that if you have animations for something entering, like you have the fill state here animating, it should also animate out, like as part of like a consistency rule there. You could also make it probably a case about like probably some of like the visibility of certain items, like how you're highlighting certain text in a couple places. But and like maybe even like the way this is lit feels a little bit inconsistent. Like you have the shadows in certain places. So there's like micro nitpicks. And I think you could probably spend years doing stuff like that. The higher yield things I think for you, Rohan, is going to be probably organizing your content into a presentation that is a little bit stronger and supports you. Right now, you're purporting to be a designer and engineer. you have apparently worked with some really big companies, and landing on your portfolio page, you just wouldn't know it because you're not featuring those brands at all. You're not featuring anything that indicates like the reality of that work. You're highlighting instead that you did personal projects, and then you have human interface design secondary. You also notice that on your CV, you highlight your education before you highlight your work experience. And so this kind of like feels a little bit backwards in terms of an order of operations here, that you'd want to present your work first, and you'd want to make sure that if you're going to bundle work experience like this, do something to visually indicate and help people identify these brands right away. This is buried right in the middle of your big paragraph of text. We all know here as designers that anything that's in the middle basically gets lost forever. The first and last stuff is what people typically see the most, especially in a paragraph. And so this is like the most at risk of just disappearing if people are on your website, especially because it's in the middle, top middle of this website, buried in a list of very similar looking elements on the third tab. There's like a lot of reputation that you're losing in here. I would probably recommend swap education for work experience, and maybe even include like inside of here, maybe you do like the images of the brand logos, right? So like you have like creative technologist, contract remote, and then a little thing here that's like every single brand logo for all the companies you work with in here, because that'll probably be a lot more immediately recognizable and communicative for the value that you're trying to convey in this single bullet, this single little area with one super paragraph. I would also want to see maybe your image has a lot of personality, your brand identity is very consistent. Maybe then the wording that you're using to communicate your identity here at the top could also use a tiny bit of refinement. Designer, engineer, creative technologist. I don't know, and Nate will have to weigh in on this. I don't know the actual value of a title such as creative technologist. I'm not sure what type of vibe that communicates anymore. But focused on building world-class digital and spatial experiences is good. It's simple, but I do think it gets the point across and lets the rest of your portfolio speak. That would be my initial thoughts, though, on some of your positioning. And hopefully that comes is helpful for you and can level up your initial impression for people. Nate, where were you thinking, though? Where did you want to go with this?
So that final comment there about the value prop at the beginning, that was the direction I was intending on going. Rohan, there's so many things in regard to positioning we could talk about. My background's in marketing. Half the books behind me are in the marketing space. If I were to, like, the largest, I think, red flag is not the right word, but the largest opportunity of growth for your website is to focus on a particular direction. So, for example, your current website, if we look at a sliding scale, on the left side, we have generalist. On the right side, we've got specialist. You are the extreme generalist side of that scale. You don't have a particular title that you're tackling. You've got personal projects. You've got artwork on there. You've got like all the possible things that are cool, but they don't position you for any particular market is the hurdle. So let's say Apple is looking to hire a product designer. They come to your website, but it's not really a product designer website. Or IBM is looking to hire an engineer. They come to your website, but it's not an engineering website either. So you're so generalist that you're losing opportunities is the fear that I would have for you. So if I were in your shoes, the immediate next step I would want to do is write a value prop. And that value prop, you currently have designer, engineer, creative technologist. Arguably not a value prop, but I mean, there are certain formats we could use here. The challenge for you is, are you able to write a value prop that describes who you are, what you do, what's your target audience, and what's the benefit you can provide that target audience? And I can give you an example. I just updated my own website with my own value prop. And it describes, I'll just paste a screenshot here. Yoink. Screenshot in the chat. So it's enterprise healthcare agile design, 15 years of product design from leading $40 million agile teams to running design ops and studio across a Fortune 25. Who's the audience? Enterprise healthcare. What's my differentiator? 15 years of product design experience, $40 million agile team leadership. What's the benefit? Design ops, scaling Fortune 25. So like that's the value prop immediately targets an audience. It immediately describes who I am. And then the rest of the portfolio is designed to accelerating that value prop, positioned entirely around that value prop. How are you feeling about that direction? Do you feel like you've got some opportunity to like write a value prop or the capability to write a value prop and then position the rest of your site dedicated to that value prop?
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think and you're right, there's a lot of things happening at once, and I probably need to just filter it down to get to the point in a lot of places. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
There's so many cool things on this website, though, especially like Mad Respect for doing a lot of this inside of Framer. I don't know if you start with a template or if this is completely custom, but the amount of attention to it to make it work for you is pretty clear. I think that's a great way to be. Also, like when you do have content, it is very cleanly organized. Where you don't have a lot of the normal gotchas that people will fail. And so for you, I think it really is just going to be making sure you hone your copywriting to communicate the journey that you want people to go on, which probably isn't by saying, here's my personal projects, then here's my human interface design projects. Is probably here's brands and work that you'll recognize or people I've worked for, and then spending time inside your visual craft area to talk about personal projects and stuff, and differentiating these. That's probably another thing is just making it clear the reason why I should choose one of these over the other. And one animation thing I'll weigh in for you is everything on your website it's got great easing rules. It reminds me of the Emil rules of easing. Honestly, we've got I don't know if you know who that is, but we see a lot of really good easing around it. And then for your case studies over here to be very jarring, it's just a little. Especially that they're all going at the same time. It's you're gonna want something a little bit smoother here, so it feels more consistent. And I'm not exactly sure how you could handle that, especially since you don't probably have like easy GIF tools in here, but something that makes us feel a little bit more deserving of, this almost doesn't feel like it goes on the same page.
One of the things I've been thinking about is how you see the personal projects. It's just one image, and it's got different platforms and different screenshots. And I've been thinking about taking a similar approach with rest of the projects and get rid of the GIFs. Would you suggest something like that, or do you think that something more dynamic is still the way to go?
It's all about the story you're trying to communicate. And so if you think about this image, what story is being communicated with this image versus what story is being communicated with this image? Right now, it's kind of like flash. So I'd say this is not like a super consistent story. I also don't get time to appreciate the UI or the aspects that are in here. This one, it's farther away, so it's harder to identify what it is, but I do understand what it's for, which is the Apple ecosystem. So there's trade-offs, strategy trade-offs. I do think that introducing your designs, but in a way that's a little bit more cohesive, and showcasing the actual value, like you have, like being able to show stuff that I recognize or that I'm interested in seeing here helps me differentiate why I want to click on this. For the two of these, right? These are so far apart, I couldn't tell you the difference between them based on image alone. And then the text here is not that descriptive in helping me understand the difference between them, right? An art experience versus a meme and text edit experience, I don't know the difference in process, the difference in purpose, the difference in your outcomes. I'm missing some things that would help me decide or value these.
Yeah. Yeah, I took some notes from that too. Appreciate that.
Cool. Rohan, appreciate
Tim and Nate. Yeah, appreciate it really. Because frankly, my portfolio section I haven't really touched it in a year, and with a lot of the other projects that I'm thinking of including now, I work with OpenAI and other places. I've been thinking, should I be putting it out there or not yet? You're right. I should probably look back into my NDA about the expiration. It's something I didn't notice before.
Well, regardless of NDA, in your hero section, you need to have previously OpenAI, blah, blah, like those companies, you need to boast those.
Yeah. And previously, what helped me get a lot of these roles was also word of mouth, that someone in one place moves to a different company and they bring me along at the same time. That's something that helped me before, but as I'm starting to advertise myself a little bit more now, not really advertise, but really just put myself out there a little bit more. Um, yeah, I've been thinking about those things, so I appreciate your insight and guidance on that.
Ron, appreciate the
Oh
time.
no.
Good hanging out with you. Uh-oh. What happened?
Likewise.
That's a can of worms.
Mm.
This is probably the wrong affordance. This is a very cool interaction. It's just
Oh
the
yeah,
wrong
please tell me about it.
affordance for that. Well, these are buttons. These are not accordion drop downs or menus.
Tim, I'm looking at the
That's
clock. We got
interesting.
we gotta move on.
We have to move on. We have to move on. We have to move on. Okay.
I'll think through it though. Yeah, appreciate it.
Rohan, you've got a very cool site. Would love to talk more about it. Feel free to come back to another Friday and we'll chat in more depth.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
Next is Designs by Zoe. Designs by Zoe, are you out there somewhere?
They're not out here anymore. Looks like they're not in the call anymore.
Bummer. And then Harsh, I see your goal was to take their place. We're just going to keep scooting down the list. There's no way. There's no cutting in line. It's a first come, first serve.
We've got Copy Ninja would be up.
Yeah, after that, Copy Ninja. Look at that. And then after that is Sam. Sam, you're on deck.
Oh. All right.
Copy Ninja, hello. It sounded like you just woke up from a nap.
Yeah, hi. It's actually my first portfolio as a video editor. So I'm still working on it.
Hey, we're all working on our portfolios. If someone says their portfolio is done, they're either not human or they're lying to you. One of those is more likely than the other, even with the advent of AI. So we're all working on portfolios. That's the thing. It's like a timeless thing. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit? First of all, what should we call you here, Copy Ninja?
You can call me Anik.
Anik.
It's similar to unique, Anik. Kind of.
Anik. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, Anik, can you tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do, and what your goals today would be?
Yeah, sure. So hey guys, I am Anik and I'm from India. And till now I was an IT guy, but I was more into editing and design stuff. So I was doing some minor video editing stuffs, but now I decided to be a full time and transition my career in video editing industry. So this portfolio right here you're seeing here is I just made this portfolio yesterday itself. So there are quite changes I have to do, and there are so many things I have to do. But this portfolio is just I made this in Framer template. So I just thought doing something which will impact more. So something is better than nothing. So I just started.
Okay. Well, can you tell us then some of the goals of your portfolio? Is this a portfolio you're hoping will, for example, get you hired as a video editor? Is this just a way to show off that you also do video editing as like a kind of repository for it? Are you trying to go full-time, freelance, etc.? Tell me.
Yeah, sure. So currently I'm freelancing, and this portfolio right here is to show that what actually I do. So basically, I edit videos for YouTube, for Reels, short form, long form, and some podcast highlights. So it is for the clients to show what exactly I do and how does their problems, how I can solve their problems. It's there are so many creators and businesses, right? All across the internet, they create content, but they don't have enough time to edit their videos, and they don't enough have that much understanding on how they can hook their videos, how they can keep the retention of the audience. So that's where I come. I have a lot of understanding in human psychology and how people work, how the retention, how pacing works. So, in short, I'm a video editor. So these are all what you see is some videos I have edited.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'll weigh in first. One, there's nothing wrong with using a framer template. There's no shade. You know, people should use what's available to them. Two, I am concerned that this particular template is poorly designed. And poorly designed, not in the sense it doesn't look good, but poorly designed in that it's gonna be hard for people to use and navigate. And it has lots of cool elements on it, but I am worried that, for example, your navigation here, gallery, word, contact, like this looks very similar to this video editor, but this is not a page. There's no button here, but these are buttons. These are also in kind of a weird spot for buttons, compared to what people might normally be used to. We're also seeing there's just certain elements that are kind of a little bit off. I'm worried that essentially you may be a very good video editor, but people are going to come here and they may not actually, um, they may not find what they're looking for, especially when you have a navigation bar down here kind of that doesn't match this, but these are also aren't buttons. So these are more of like little tags. These are also tags, but it's just kind of organized a little bit in an interesting way. Although I do appreciate the content you have here. And there's also a couple things that seem to be a little bit, I don't know. I guess these might be brands and
And
stuff.
that's actually, yeah, that's actually just a logo of what I have been working to the clients. So I was kind of figuring out, but I couldn't fix that specific issue. So that's my main concern as well.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, and these tags, I feel like these are trying to be things that like identify your brand, right? Like your brand is precise. You are focused.
Exactly.
You are structured. You have a good visual language. And at the same time, this itself is poor visual language and is hard to identify, feels out of place because of the way the grid's working. Um,
Yeah, I understand.
Probably even this one right here feels, some of these feel just kind of good information, just not packaged in a way that's easily digestible. I would presume. I don't know, Nate, where would you like to go with this before I just keep going on this?
Yeah, Anik, what's do you have a target audience in mind?
Yeah, I am specifically focusing more on content creators and the small businesses for you know uh, exploring their or growing their business online,
Yeah.
not just in offline. So those are all my target audiences.
Okay, interesting. So where my brain is going with this is Tim and I, our expertise is in the product design space. And when it comes to reviewing portfolios and product design, we know who your target audience is. We know it's like enterprise environments, startups, like we are familiar with those target audiences and how to build portfolios that target those audiences. Tim and I are not comfortable in regard to showcasing our talents to target your audience, right? This is the quandary with freelance work. You know your audience better than we do. Therefore, the amount of feedback we can give to you ends up leaning more subjective than it does based on like objective criteria, which is where Tim and I attempt to avoid. So our feedback is a little bit limited here. What's coming to mind for me is if this is a freelance page and your goal is to target those content creation folk to purchase your services, I would expect this page to be closer to that of some sort of product landing page. And the pages that I would expect to find would be closer to things that you would typically find in a generic sales page. So like, for example, a value prop at the very top, but also a services page, maybe a pricing page, something with like a portfolio, maybe some testimonials on there to build some trust. Like those are the assets I would have expected to find if I were an audience person trying to purchase your product. How are you feeling about all of that so far? Like, is that direction making sense to you?
I'm still thinking how this is going. I'm still confused. I wanted to know how exactly these all stuffs would go, because I'm still kind of exploring these stuffs. And this portfolio is the first thing I have built from for my use, personal use. I mean, the editing stuff. So you people were required for me because I wanted to know how things will go.
Well, let's just do a quick barometer here. So like, let's say I'm a potential client. I come to your website and I have a couple of questions. Who are you? Why can I trust you? What services do you offer? How much do those services cost? How do I contact you? Tim, scroll up to the very top. Are we able to find the answers to those questions?
He has a good FAQ at the very end. And this is the challenge of an FAQ, is that FAQs, you actually, if you have an FAQ, the success of your frequently asked questions section is in that people never have to use it, right? If this is a frequently asked question, if you already know that one of your most frequently asked questions is what services do you offer, you should answer that quickly. It should be like something you prioritize answering. And so all this information that you have down here packed, it should be stuff that you would understand well before you get down here. To the point that a frequently asked questions would be more like a summary of like, oh, I already know this, but I could see it again if I really wanted to. Like all these things could typically be understood here at the top. We're missing that. We do have like a home, gallery, work, contact. We do not have a services up here though. We do have a couple places that say video editing, and I've deleted. So let me go ahead and duplicate this so I can we can look at the true version of it. We have a couple places where maybe it's indicated here: video editing, content creator, Reels, and YouTube. And it's just hard to see this and to process these little bits. So I imagine that probably this information these are the answers people are looking for: ad videos, podcast, video editing. But it's not easy to digest this information yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anik, I think you've got like most of the stuff we're looking for. Like there are certainly pages I would expect to see that are potentially missing. But on the homepage, you've got a lot of the content I'd expect to find. It's just not in a consumable fashion. I like where Tim's brain is at in regard to simplifying the distraction on this page.
Okay.
It's playing the video. I can't not have it play the video. Wow.
Yeah, it's
very
actually
dramatic.
quite glitchy. If you see, the video which is appearing on the top is quite different, and if you click on that video, and the video redirects to another video of mine. So that is one of a glitch or an issue which I'm not able to fix. I'm still working on it.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we often see with small business owners, I don't mean to say small business owners, but like in general, is that small businesses tend to have this idea that the most important thing when someone comes to their website is their logo or who they are, right? And like, hey, like my name is the most important thing. Here I am. This is who I am. When really, I think probably the more important thing is showcasing what you can do. And so the things you're able to do and accomplish tend to be more important. So like coming onto a landing page and seeing the videos that you create might be more important, right? So a cinematic video, delightful. But like a cinematic video here at the top that showcases a very well designed video edited, or like some of your video editing process, or you even editing the videos, probably speaks a little bit louder than a small video over on the side that we can't pause or anything, which is a bad accessibility design. You click on it, it goes somewhere else, but it's hard to tell that you could click on it. And then, this just doesn't explain things very well. Like it just doesn't make any differentiation clear or obvious to us.
Anik, there's probably not much more Tim and I are able to talk about. Just some quick gotchas. Have you installed any analytics on here? Any heat mapping? Any Google Analytics? Anything like that?
No, not yet.
Okay, cool. That might be a good place to start. Just start, like install something like Hotjar or Google Analytics. That'll enable you to start watching how people are utilizing your site. And that should enable you to iterate and then start A/B testing and multivariate testing your conversions.
Okay, so basically, if I would have to make a good, solid portfolio of mine, then what are the few, like basic foundational things which I have to keep in mind so that whoever the people come across my portfolio would get a specific idea of who I really am and how I can solve their problems. So, you have anything to say on that?
Yes, but I feel like we attempted to cover some of it as the hurdle. What comes to mind for me
Yeah.
is that value prop at the very top. So describing who you
Okay.
are, what you do, what's the target audience, and then what's the benefit you can provide that audience, all in 2 sentences at the top of the screen, and then some sort of CTA, like in this case, you've got Connect. I think that's going to bring you some distance. Tim,
Okay. Okay.
any yes ands to that?
Yeah, I would go for a different approach. There's a product. So anytime you're making yourself the product, like you are here, your video editing, you're gonna want to go with a productized model for freelance. And so this is an example. Supercut AI is an example of this, where they show the benefit of their video editing platform in action, but they also show it. And so you'll see like they get right in here. So here's what they look like. Here's their different target audiences. Uh, they show just it in action. You can even interact with it, which is kind of cool, right? And they take great care to make sure that they explain the features and they show the feature in action with people benefiting from that. Uh, and that's a good thing. And then they take time to say like, hey, like you don't need to see all of them, because if you see all of them, it's kind of a lot of features. It's a lot of features that they have here. Um, and that's I think that's going to be a good approach for you. So for what I'd recommend is make a video, your whatever your showcase video is, a promo video, something up here, not necessarily a like true video that people won't have any connection to, but some sort of video that you've made just for your website. I would put that front, top, and center big hero video, something that's powerful, something that speaks to things up here. And then when people land on here, they get to experience the beauty of your product right away. And then I would quickly follow that up with maybe your services, actually. I'd put your services up at the top, because you don't want people to be on here and be like, what the heck am I on? You want to answer the question of what do you do and what's going on quickly. And if you say here, hey, here's all my services, short form, long form, etc. Then as soon as people scroll past services, they get to see, here's my short form videos, here's my long form videos, here's my podcast editing, here's my brand and ad videos, and then you show your testimonials and reviews underneath that. But probably make them a little more. I don't know if these are real or unreal, but I would just space them a little bit better so it feels a little bit more like there's lots of them. Your pricing is also important. Make sure you include a section up here that lets people get to pricing quickly. You'll find that people care about transparency more than you might think, and so showing pricing sooner often benefits users, especially when you do a good job of explaining why that price makes sense and why they should care about that pricing. So that would be my quick insights for you, but it's tough. I mean, this is something you'll have to spend time on. Like this is now your livelihood, is becoming good at this and understanding what exactly people want to see, and that's your target audience. So Nate and I will not be able to weigh in with the level of experience and hopefully the time and iteration that you put into this.
Got it. Got it. Got it. That's a nice insight for me to work on this. Thank you, by the way. It was required for me, actually.
Anik, really appreciate the time. Appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Thank you.
Tim, looking at the list, next up we've got Sam. Sam, if you're out there, put your hands up in the air. I did have to scroll. Sam, beautiful name. The quandary is we've got like 40 other Sams in this Discord. I had to scroll so far up to find you. Make sure I got the right Sam.
Sam, when you come up on stage, feel free to share a little bit of information about who you are, what you do, and actually what we should call you too.
Hello, I'm audible.
Can you say that one more time for me?
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, I'm audible, sir.
You are audible, correct?
Sir, my real name is Sandeep, but this is my Discord name, Sandeep. Same, sorry.
Okay. Would you like us to call you Sam, or what should we call you?
Uh, Sam is fine for me.
Okay. Well, Sam's fine for me.
Yeah.
Sam, can you give us a little intro into who you are and the kind of work that you do?
Sir, my name is Sandeep, and I'm from Gujarat, Rajkot, and I work 2017 from as a logo designer.
Okay. Very cool. Then your goals today, what could we help you accomplish?
I don't know, just I see your broadcast for feedback, and just I put my portfolio for feedback.
All right. Truly courageous. Putting himself out here, not even necessarily sure what what we're hoping to accomplish from.
No,
Okay, great.
sorry. This is my first time. I never apply for feedback.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. We love people who are new and old and fresh and experienced of all kinds. All right, so we typically for our feedback sessions, we try to help people um, curate their portfolios or their resumes into stories that help them get hired, find clients, etc., and accomplishing a goal of basically telling targeted stories that will reflect their skills and help people connect and understand who they are. And so for your particular portfolio here, we see you have a great Behance portfolio. I'm curious if you'd like us to look at one of your projects and kind of talk about your project. If you want us to just talk about maybe your portfolio here overall, maybe some of your strategy. What direction would you like to go?
Sir, I'm not at a good at English, but I'm trying.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
You
Sir,
want to take a stab?
huh, the logo you show in the portfolio are the just like I think about and I just design it. This is the just for my portfolio.
Sam, let me ask you. The typically people come on these calls because there's a problem they're trying to solve. And that may not be the case with you, and that's totally okay. Do you have any ambitions that we can help you tackle? For example, do you have a broader goal of getting hired at another organization?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to grow as a designer in international because the past 8 or 7 years I only do a job, so I don't know how to establish as a freelancer in the internationally.
But I am hearing that your goals are dedicated towards scaling and growing as a graphic design individual.
Yeah, as a designer and as a freelancer as well as.
As a freelancer, cool. All right, so that gives us some constraints to work around. Tim and I have all sorts of thoughts about that. Now, in regard to freelance, you probably heard us talk with Anik, the last person that we spoke with, in regard to like, we don't know who your target audience is, so we can't speak in any healthy manner to that. However, we have opinions on like the directions by which one goes about building portfolios and platforms. Behance being one of the platforms that we certainly have opinions on. Tim, I'm going to pass the mic to you. Feel free to talk about Behance if you think that's the next appropriate step. But I'm looking at your expression and I'm getting the feeling there's a direction you're wanting to head. But if not, talk about Behance.
I will talk about Behance. I think it is a good starting point. I do want to express my sensitivity to the language barrier, and I don't want to go too far into complicated things that are not necessarily going to be well understood by Sam. But Sam, a
Yes.
portfolio represents you on the internet, and typically, the goal of a portfolio, like the goal of your website leads people to hire you.
Yes.
But Behance also wants people to buy Adobe products. And so there's always a clash on Behance that when I'm on here, Behance wants me to hire other people. It wants me to start a free trial. It wants me to sign in. You do have a CTA here for hiring Sam, but it's also dismissible. And as soon as I dismiss this, I can no longer take part in that main CTA. And so
Okay.
one problem we often have with Behance is that Behance is not serving you as well as you are serving Behance. Like Behance benefits a lot from Sam having his portfolio on Behance. Sam may not benefit from Behance though, from having his portfolio on Behance. Now there are some great stuff in here, like you can have productized services here, right? So this is good.
Yes.
But you are going to notice that if I want to send an inquiry or anything like that, here, we'll test this out. Test message. Okay. This is a test message from Design Feedback Friday for your inquiry. Thanks for being on the call with us. If I send this inquiry, it forces me to sign in to Behance. And if I was not signed in, I cannot hire you or even talk with you, which is a huge negative outcome for Behance. So Behance wants me to sign up for Behance more than it wants me to hire Sam on Behance. So you can take back this freedom though by directing people to an actual website. I see here that you had an Adobe portfolio once upon a time, but just even having your own website or portfolio that's not attached to Adobe or something else gives you the freedom. For example, on Rohan's, we can just email him, right? We can just email him right away. That opened my email inbox, and I don't have to worry about did I sign up? Am I paying for the right subscription on Behance? Is Behance, for example, if I come look at your project and I'm like, ooh, I really like this project. If you notice that when I get to the end of this, it's going to suggest other projects and stuff. And sometimes it'll even send me to other people. And it wants me to sign in to join the conversation. It's just the problem that we always have with Behance is that Behance wants Behance to win, not Sam to win. And that can be a big barrier. So if you want to grow, one easy thing to do is just have a website where people can go that Adobe doesn't get to control or prevent people from talking to you. Because I can't even talk to you until I sign up, which is not what I want to do.
Okay, sir. I totally understand.
Yeah, and hope. Okay, great. And feel free to ask other questions. If people in the chat have good experiences with Behance, please also let us know, or if people have had bad experiences, let Sam know as well. Now, I wouldn't say you shouldn't have anything on Behance, right? If you want to have a Behance portfolio, I think that's awesome. I just think you should also have a website aside from it. So you probably need 2 instead of just 1.
Sir, I try like all the platforms. Like in freelancing, I try like Upwork, Fiverr, uh, many platforms. Even I also activate in Instagram as well as now because I do a job and managing this thing that is not going well for me. Uh, in the right now time is a situation very tight for as a graphic designer because whenever we give a logo or whatever in the client every time say it comes from the AI.
It is indeed a tough time for graphic design. My message to everyone, though, is to not give up, and that things are tight. I think they've always kind of been a little bit tight and difficult. And I can't predict exactly where things are going to go, but I do know that a lot of the stuff and the work that we do, the thought process, the work to understand problems and then to create assets and visual identity is something that's going to be around for a while longer and will probably outlast the current AI boom. Again, not sure what will happen in 10 years from now, but you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't give up. I know it is difficult though. So with
Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
mind, again, some of your best strategies, right? If, for example, you want to email someone, and you say, hey, I can do a logo design for you, and you email me this website. If I want
Okay.
to buy your design, I still have to sign up for Behance, and I may not want
Yes.
to. There might be someone else who sends them their website, like Rohan, and they don't
Yeah.
have to sign up to email. And so that's
Yeah.
just one reason we recommend, you know, you can have both. Behance is a good place to be, but just remember, Behance is selling people Behance. They're not selling Sam, which is really
Yeah.
sad because a lot of people trust Behance to sell them, but Behance is not going to sell you. It's trying to sell its own product. So it's
Okay.
it's
Okay.
tough. It's tough.
Okay, sir. Sir, can you go my Instagram as well, as I had mentioned my Instagram in this Behance, in the Behance, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram's probably a good place to be too. I am not
Yes.
a social media guru, so
Yeah.
I can't say.
I recently started the real stuff. I never do it. The first time I tried myself to put in the screen.
Okay, cool. Well, um, there we go. Just delete until we can be on Instagram again. Yeah. Well, thanks for your time. And I'm sorry we can't give you a little bit more targeted here. Nate, if you want to follow up that with anything, let us know. But you know, Sam, I assume, and we don't have time to get into everything. I assume some of this
Okay.
work is really good. Like it looks clean, it looks real. I'd imagine
Yeah.
the challenge is probably just that people have to look at this on Behance, and that slows you down a little bit and doesn't let you get the chance to. For example, this is a really cool image, but you know the ability to appreciate this image is a little bit hurt by the fact that, and also this is just a little bit hurt by the fact that it's very messy on this website, and I have to click in here. And you'll also notice that, you know, some of this might be really good work. I don't know which one of these projects to look at. I don't know which one of these is the best project for me to explore, because, you know, I might be a construction person, but I might be looking for a very specific type of task that you did on one of these projects. And so one of the benefits you can get from, we looked anyway, one of the benefits you can get from setting, have we seen anyone who's done it really well today? I guess I haven't seen anyone who's done it really well today, but what are some of the benefits you can get from having very descriptive case studies outside the Behance platform is you can help tell people where they should go. And if you give them a good opinion, a safe, a smart default, they often find what they want faster. And that is something that you'll have to leave Behance to do more effectively.
Okay. So first, I want to create my personal website, right, sir?
Yeah. First step would be to create your own personal portfolio. Tim and I consistently recommend either Framer, also welcome to Claude, just Claude code it nowadays as well. Both of those are good suggestions.
Okay.
Sam.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
appreciate you being here with us today. Appreciate you being able to hang out.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's really good time for us, sir. Thank you so much.
Tim,
To
next
join
on
us.
the list, we've got Mr. P, who's been anxiously awaiting in chat.
Okay.
Now, Tim, I've looked at
Let's see if we
the
can
link
find-
provided. This will be a little bit of a wild card for us, but not something that we've reviewed
Okay.
in the past.
Okay, now that is a little bit different because we have reviewed a lot of types of content, and we've seen a lot of stuff. So I'm excited to see what exactly this is. Mr. Plus P plus 44. As I invite you on, go ahead and let us know what we should call you, unless you really do prefer Mr. P plus 40 plus P plus 44. And then also let us know maybe some background about yourself and what we can support today for you. That's lovely.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Sorry, for some reason my Discord just crashed.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, go ahead if you have any questions, or should I start myself?
Yeah, just let us know first of all what we can call you for this. Whatever name you'd like us to call you by, just refer to you as.
My real name is Praveen, but you can call me Mr. P. But Praveen. So that's my real name. You can call me Praveen.
Praveen.
Yep.
Maybe I'm close-ish.
Yeah, no, that's the exact pronunciation. Right,
You got it perfectly.
Yep. So should I start?
Yeah, will you just let us know some of your background, and then what your goals today would be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll start with the goals. So I just kind of randomly got into this. I did not know that the server had these events, but I thought it'd be nice to participate at least for once. So about my background, I've always been into art. I'm someone who is, one of those people that are just, gravitating towards art. You know, so I decided to be an artist at the age of 10. I'm currently 22 years old. I got some support on and off from my family, but I was always busy making stuff. So I write a lot. I also sing. I'm a singer. I write songs. As you can see, I do photography. And also, I just last year I got into calligraphy because I was looking I was considering a serious career as a designer. But because of a lot of problems in my family last year, I couldn't pursue it. So that's that. Other than that, I would say that's it. I love films, especially. Films and music are two of my favorite things. As I said, I'm still considering everything professionally, but due to those problems, there's always the anxiety of having a stable job and stuff like that. So yes, it's very tricky right now. And yes, because of those things, I haven't been able to create a proper portfolio. So yes.
Gotcha. And now I see here that this is a Google Photos repository. I'm curious what the goal for this particular portfolio is. For example, are you hoping to send this to someone and they might want to buy your photography services? Are you hoping to use this as a way of exploring your personal photography, just getting feedback from other people? Tell me what you hope that this will accomplish.
Yeah, this was for sending to potential employers. Last year, I just kind of started looking for work, but I didn't really find. Again, due to those sort of problems, it all comes back to it. But yes, I was sending it to employers. So this was part of my resume. So there's a CV, but it has some personal stuff like my written work. So I just couldn't post it in a Discord chat. So as I said, I'm a writer as well. So yes, this was part of a CV, and this was just a link, like a work, and this was a link in that. So
okay, sure. Nate, do you have directions you want to go with this, or should we just dive in where we can?
Well, maybe a preface here that Tim and I will probably not be able to provide you a whole lot of detailed feedback here. We certainly can provide feedback similar to the last candidate in regard to the direction one can take in order to better position themselves. The hurdle, the friction point that we have with artistry is that it dives into subjectivity exceptionally quick, where Tim and I like to maintain a spot on the more objective side of things. So that's where
I'm very open to critique, so you can go ahead.
So what I'm attempting to describe is if let's say Tim and I did give you a critique on the artistry, our critique is valueless because it's subjective in nature. There is no critique we can provide
But still, just to argue, personally for me, I would take it as something valuable.
I think you would. I do think you're honestly coming in good faith. There's no questions about that.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
more
always
about
open to critique and criticism, so there's no problem with that. I mean,
100%. I don't think we would offend you either. I don't think we would
thank
I
you,
don't
thank
think
you.
you would take it and throw it away or be rude about it
Yeah,
or anything of that
definitely.
nature. We wouldn't be rude either. It's just the type of feedback that we prefer to apply. We try to be as objective as possible so that our feedback can be valuable um, outside the vacuum and the silo that is here,
I
right?
see.
This is a Discord chat. We're just hanging out here. And we want to make sure that when we share our opinions, we're representing opinions that will be important and effective beyond just our call here. And so I
Yeah,
do think
just
Nate and I could both be like this, like, hey, I like this picture. Do you like this
so,
picture? What's
I
cool about it, etc. I don't know if we could say like this is going to be a picture that gets you hired, or this shows like great photography skills and intuition, because neither of us are professional photographers. It'd be really hard for us. What I also want to what I'd like to preface with is that for us, something we often say is that a portfolio is a miniature you on the internet, which means that it should be you online when you're not in the room with someone, which because it's the internet is like 99% of the time, right? People are going to be on your website. You're not going to be there to explain it or to showcase. And so your portfolio needs to, one, communicate who you are. It needs to tell someone very clearly, this is the person who I'm looking at. Two, it needs to show here's what their skills are, here's what their value is. And then three, it has to tell you of like, where are you headed? Where are you going? And so I
mean,
would just love to say like, as
I
terms
have
of portfolio, yeah, okay, go
I have
for
a
it.
question regarding the portfolio. So I'm someone who's a perfectionist. Like I have the kind of a mental sort of condition regarding that. But I've been trying to make a portfolio for a very long time, and I came very close to making one. I made a Wix. I made a Wix site. I put it up as a domain. I bought the domain. There were 2 domains that I bought. But then I always have an anxiety. That if it's not the best I can do, then it's kind of worthless. And I've actually never had too much contact with other designers and artists. So, what is your view on that?
Yeah, so when we're attempting to say whether something is worthless or not, we have to define a metric to like value against, right? And this is where the objectivity comes in that Nate was talking about, which
Okay.
is in terms of rating a photo, it would be very hard for us to rate a photo, which I
I see.
think what Nate is trying to describe is that right now, your portfolio is a collection of photos and there's no story that's connecting them. There's nothing describing to me why I should care about this. There's no framing that says this is an important photo because of this thing, right? The beauty in this photo, is it in the lighting? Is it in the scene? Is it the time of day? Maybe it's the computer itself. Maybe it's that this particular figure is really important. There's nothing that helps me decide how to value or how to measure this versus when I go to like Rohan's website here, I know how to value his website because I'm
Okay, I
probably
see.
hiring a designer. And so I know a designer needs to have these things. So I'm valuing him against like a design thing. I also know that when I click here, he's saying, oh, this is an art experience for iOS, iPadOS, and
I see.
visionOS.
Got it.
So whenever I click in here, I know I'm going to measure it against, does this look like iOS, visionOS, iPadOS? For this kind of portfolio, and I'm not saying this is a worthless portfolio. I'm just saying
No,
right now, currently, it's a collection of photos that
I
one
mean,
may or may not like.
you are absolutely correct. I mean, I just kind of rushed into it, and next Friday I will have a portfolio because I finally have somewhere to show it. Basically, the thing is that I never got around to working, and not really my fault as a creative, but I've always done my best here. And it is better for me, regardless of the fact. However it turns out, portfolio, it is better to have one than not have one. So
I would agree with that.
I'll,
I would agree with that sentiment.
yeah,
Better to have
next Friday
something than
I'll
not have
bring.
something.
Yeah,
But
so I'll
it
bring.
means that you probably need to do more framing. Like if you want to send them
Definitely.
this link, if you want to send this link, you might want to say like, hey, this is my photo album. You should look at these particular photos, right? Like, hey, I took a photo of a tree. It's a very good looking tree. Here's why you should care about this photo. Let's talk more about it sometime. Instead of being able to say like, here's my website, go explore my website. I don't have to tell you or
Yeah.
explain anything about it because I can do it
I
by
mean,
myself.
I I mean, I know that. I mean, definitely, but I mean, sorry, I'm a little confused. I agree with you. I just kind of sent you a link that basically describes nothing. But I thought, to give my shot a shot, So, but
Mhm.
if you, I can talk about my photos, in the sense of how I photograph, and I think that can be valuable to everybody. I assume. Um, maybe just
Yeah, and
maybe
that's
if our sorry, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that is I think exactly what you're describing is
Mhm.
exactly what I'd hope to see, right? I can
Yeah.
imagine if I'm imagining in my mind, I might
Mhm.
imagine a website that shows a little bit of you, has a little bit of a statement here, and it has all your different photos with a short description, maybe about what that photo is, and then clicking on that photo might
I
teach me about that photo.
in the chat I did post a link to my Tumblr, which has a little bit of that kind of explanation about the kind of photos I take. So um, if you can
Sure, if
open
you want
that,
me to open it real quick. I don't have a Tumblr.
it's in
I've
the
actually
Discord. There it is.
I think this is my first time opening Tumblr actually.
And
So
Tim, I
yeah.
am
Yeah,
looking at the
technically.
clock. We're going to have to move on to the next one here very shortly.
Okay.
So
What I'd be looking for in your portfolio in the future is combine this. Combine these in such a way that someone can
yeah,
consume these in
that's
the same
I will,
space.
yeah,
So,
I will do
so
that
if you said
exactly.
you're going to do it next Friday, I'm excited to see it.
Yep. Oh
We'll
yeah,
be
thank
here
you.
next Friday, so you're welcome to come back, man. So,
All right.
but thanks for putting this out there, and thanks for being willing to showcase this. And I look forward to
Thank you.
hearing maybe more about the value for some of these photos that you have here.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mr.
thank you
P.
very much. All right, have a good one. Thank you. Bye.
Next on the list, we've got Pranjal Agarwal, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If you're out there, stick your hands up.
I'm scrolling. Our chat's gotten so big today. I don't know. We had a small group, guys. Only 20 of us. That's like half of our normal audience, and yet we have so many chat messages, which is a great problem, guys. Give
I
me
prefer
arthritis. Yeah.
I prefer the smaller groups here. We can be more personal and like review the chat in more depth. I'm not sure that Pranjal's still here.
Elena's not here. Pranjal is not here either. Who else? I have Demi.
Yeah, so
Demi's
after
the next
Pranjal
person I
would be
see who is
Demi, and
here.
Demi is certainly here.
Demi. I think Demi's not here either, actually.
No,
Let's
Demi
skip
was
Demi.
just there. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm making fun. I'm making fun. Putting Demi in the hot seat. Demi, tell us, what do we call you? And introduce yourself a little bit to you.
Hi guys, I'm Demi, or you can call me Dhruv. I'm Dhruv, whatever is easier to pronounce.
Oh, love a good loader. Is this a Webflow or Framer? Okay,
Is it
tell us a
either?
little bit. I don't think it's either of those. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what your goals are today, and then maybe how we can help you. And you said it is Dhruv?
Yes, it is. You
Okay.
pronounce it correctly. Yes.
Take me in the shin so hard, okay? I swear. I want to say it correctly. I promise.
Yes, you're doing it correctly. So, I'm a lighting and furniture designer. Uh, this website is about 2 years old, and I've been thinking about redoing it with the help of a friend. I feel like it's too verbose as of now. It has uh, too many words and too much explanation. I want to prune it, edit it, make it shorter, update it with new work as well. I think feedback would be really cool.
It's a nice scroll. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. I maybe I'm missing this. Maybe it's not something I'm aware of. You said you're a lighting designer?
Yes, lighting and furniture designer.
Wow. Okay, that's great. That's super cool. I will do my best on that. So, when you say you want to update this, what's the motivation behind that? Are you hoping that an update to your website might like lead to more job opportunities? Are you hoping it might just re-express your brand and identity, just like for fun and kicks? What's motivating you?
Uh, I feel like I'm better placed in the industry now. I want to give it a more mature feel. I've had a solo exhibition, so I want to uh, uh, maybe project myself, position myself as a more mature designer. I feel like this feels too childish to me now. I don't know if that's correct, but that's the intention behind the update.
Okay, cool. And is this that update or is this pre-update?
This is pre-update.
And so today, what would you say your goal is for us? Is it to, for example, it is your goal something like we might give feedback on this current version and you use that as you decide what you're doing with the next version? Or are you looking for things tell me more about how we can support you with this new direction you want to go?
Exactly what you said, which is to give feedback on this version that I can take forward in the update and work on that better. I think that'll be the perfect way to go about it.
Okay. I think we can do a little bit of that. What do you think, Nate?
I'm so sorry. Describe the goal again, Tim.
So I'll do my best to describe the goal, and then Drew will correct me a little bit. So we have a professional lighting and furniture designer who made this website some time ago, maybe 2 years ago, and they're interested in just having a little bit of a brand lift update for themselves and taking this website to the next level now that they have more maturity in their career, have new works to show, and have kind of leveled themselves up on a career level. And so they'd be looking for us to go through here and to comment and kind of give a little bit of feedback that they can consider on this current version of the website that might influence the coming build of the website. This is kind of like a pre-audit, so they have a couple things on mind that they're interested and can apply easily when they get to working on this.
Did Drew? I don't know.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Drew, I may have missed it. Did you describe what your ambition was with the redesign? Like, are you trying to get hired at an organization? Are you going full freelance?
Uh, I run a practice uh, where I'm represented by a gallery that sells my work. So I'm not. This is. I don't think that people who really uh, buy my work go through the website as such. I don't think so. I do not think that they discover me through the website and then decide to buy my work. Uh, I think it's mostly to uh, gain trust. If they discover my work at a fair, they want to look through online and then discover the website and go through that and just to see that, okay, I have a presence online, which is on my own website, and just scroll through that. I think that's the purpose of the website. Uh, that's what I think.
Love where your mindset is at there, because describing that, hey, my target audience doesn't convert through these online portals or online websites. Knowing that constraint means that we no longer have to be distracted by the majority of practices that we recommend because they just don't apply to you as effectively. Great to know. So I'm hearing your goals are gaining trust in the industry and then just showcasing you have an online presence. I will say, if those are your goals, your current website is totally applicable. I don't think your current website is holding you back from either of those. Was there something, how do you feel your current website is holding you back?
I dislike the homepage a lot now. I feel like it has uh too much description. I feel it is verbose in the kind that it has too many words. I want to simplify it, maybe go for a minimal outlook, I think.
I do have a question for you. Is it possible that someone has recently given you feedback that's prompting this, or is this truly like, or is there like someone else's website that you saw that like really made you think about your own website?
The latter, actually. I've gone through a lot of fellow designers' websites, and uh, none of them had as much description as mine. So I felt like maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Okay. I think that's a valuable. I think that's a honestly, it's a good, honest question, right? If you look around, and for some reason you are not like the others, you should always ask, like, why? Why is that? Um, I might, I might caution though that I mean, I'm looking at some of your art. First of all, some of these lighting expos are crazy cool. Like like the chandelier, the whole chandelier is just awesome looking. I'm not even sure I know enough to appreciate like what I'm seeing here. Like I probably cannot even fully appreciate the amount of work that's in here or what exactly is happening, but it is incredible looking chandelier. Um, I would probably hazard that you could do some very small updates to your website that will have an outsized impact in the aesthetic and the vibe. Like in terms of like maybe helping you feel like it's a little bit more professional. Uh, but I would also be really careful to avoid going too stylized with trends because trends will go away over time and then you'll be back in the same spot where you have to go back and redo some of this stuff or you're going to be left unsatisfied. And I don't know if having descriptions is necessarily a bad thing. Remember that so far you have been successful. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like so far you've been successful with your website. And so that would probably suggest that you're doing at least something correct here. So any direction you go, you probably have a very good foundation. And personally, I'm a fan of websites that describe things versus leaving me to just figure it out. You already have some visual elements as well that would communicate some of your visual identity. And so I don't think that these are competing necessarily. I think they are helping to support each other. Even though I broke this when I reloaded it, it no longer wants to load the carousel here. That's probably a local problem. That's my early thought. And how would you feel about that? Is that, I mean, I don't want to like stop you from being like going to the next level, but I also wouldn't want you to feel like this is doing a bad job. As someone who's just brand new to this, I guess I don't have a lot to base this off of either. I could be wrong, but it does not look poorly designed to me.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, there's a couple places where I might suggest, like, for example, this text is a little bit wide. There's a general text rule that we have, which we call the readability line length rule, which kind of suggests that around 600 pixels for most people is the maximum width you want text to be. And maybe like you have some differences in your text sizes, right? Where this is a size and then this is a very nice, like, this looks like a golden ratio-esque sort of transition here where you have a very nice header, very nice body text. And we were maybe missing that same level of like refinement here, where maybe this needs to be the same kind of general size of this. We could maybe not use a border here since we're not using borders in other places really. And so there's like a couple of like small things you could probably do. Again, like I said, to have an outsized impact that might just help it feel more cohesive and kind of lean into it, which often is the case when you work with like a minimal type website. Is that sometimes having the empty space does a lot for you versus sometimes filling all the space. But when you're coming to photography is also a very creative craft. And I think your eye for it has not led you astray yet here.
Fantastic. This is really good feedback because it's making me think a lot. I feel like I need to rethink the new direction, maybe not uh, change the entire outlook of the website, maybe just update it with new work. Because at the end, this when I made it, it spoke to me. It was what was me, like with the kaleidoscope of colors and craft and nostalgia. I think, okay, maybe the descriptions aren't that bad. I think that's a very new perspective.
Yeah, I'm glad it makes you think. Um, we do want to be additive, right? There's so many reasons. There's, of course, if your goals are different too, right? If your goal is that you recognize your website's not doing something for you, then I'd absolutely say like you're probably warranted to make a big update. But it does look like your website's already kind of doing the work for you. But again, refreshing it, building on this, being additive rather than destructive towards it, could be a really good effect, right? Maybe you're like, these animations are really nice, but I could do a better job of it now. Or maybe you're like, maybe these look, and I don't know, I don't want to like put ideas in your head, but maybe you're like, oh, it's a little bit grainy or something. Or like, I no longer like this style that I'm showing here. You might make some updates here, or maybe add like a couple of extra pieces. Maybe you want to insert a new section in here that is that personal exposition you did. Maybe you figured out your story a little bit more. You're like, oh, I like talking about myself here, and I could probably include like another couple sentences. Or maybe I need to make maybe I could go refine this about page with, maybe I have like an updated photo or something. Um, you could do all that stuff, or even here, right? Even here, you're like, well, it gets a little bit wordy, and I don't have as many images. Maybe I could add some stuff here. I think additive work is often a good way to approach a functioning website, and very like surgical removal rather than wholesale reconstruction of content.
Yeah, yeah, that is really good. That makes sense to me.
There was something else
Nate,
that
how do you feel about that?
I think that's great. I love the mindset there. Tim mentioned a word earlier that I think is worth exploring slightly as well, given your context there, Drew. You mentioned the word brand, and when designers hear the word brand, they typically think more toward like visual identity and aesthetics. When marketers hear the word brand, it's more toward positioning and targeting and perception. And I think it's worth leaning more into that marketing definition. If like it sounds like your goals are like, hey, this is a thing that I don't like and it can be better, but in regard to my business objectives, there isn't a target in mind. So now I'm thinking, well, you've got a target audience that's converting elsewhere. Can we better hone in on the perception of that target audience and then build this portfolio to emphasize trust with that target audience? And that's something that Tim and I, of course, can't answer on this call because that takes research of your target audience. But it's that portion that I think is probably worth exploring more, given that your constraints are kind of open-ended at the moment. How are you feeling about like your level of knowledge of your target audience? Is the content on this currently targeting them effectively, or can that be improved?
I think that can be improved massively. And I feel like uh, I would want to read up and research on if I can, if there are analytic tools which can help me learn about them, at least the people that are visiting my website,
Hmm.
and if I'm being able to drive them to other platforms such as my Instagram, which is a more thorough archive of my work as of now. So yeah, this feedback is really making me ponder.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Tim's got a bunch of utilities up his belt. When it comes to demographic data, generic analytics could certainly assist. Installing Google Analytics on there, for example, will help with that, though a lot of it's masked. When it comes to psychographic data, it would take more understanding of your audience to like know how one can best approach them. Here in the States, we've got some utilities for that. Are you in the United States?
No, I'm in India.
Okay. Yeah, we've got like ESRI data here in the United States, but it's real localized. Anyway, I'd want to do more research into the psychographic understanding of your target audience. And then there are other categories in there as well. We could talk about geographic data, but it's typically not as relevant. Anyway, I could talk about marketing for a long time, but if I were in your shoes, I would want to heavily learn more about my target audience and then build up I guess you're calling it a portfolio. I don't know what else to call it. But I would want to rewrite the content to better suit them, knowing that the other stuff is somewhat of a distraction.
Right, right. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Uh,
Drew.
Well, I know.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
No, I was gonna pivot. I'm looking at the clock and we're at time. I was gonna ask if we had provided any value for you, or if this was all too high level.
No, definitely. Amazing value, and I'm really grateful for the feedback. This helped me a lot.
Drew, really appreciate you hanging out with us. It's unusual for Tim and I to get conversations like this that focus solely on, that focus more on the theory side of things than the UI and UX side of things. We love talking about these things, and we rarely get the opportunity to.
Thank you, guys. Love this. Thank you.
Well, I
Folks,
think that's it today.
Folks, that's our Feedback Friday for today. If you're new here, we do this every Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everything has been recorded on YouTube, which means you can go back and take a look at anything we said. There's a link to our YouTube channel in the chat in case you want to subscribe for future stuff. You can also check out the live tab to see all the previous things we had done as well. We've also got voice channels here on Design Buddies. If you're new, I'm looking at the couple of voice channels we have. One of them has 5 people in it right now. You're welcome to pivot over there if you want to keep chatting and potentially get feedback on your stuff from those folks. They'll be happy to have you. Other than that, Tim, any last words before we adjourn for the afternoon?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll end this stream and then we'll keep probably just 5 or 10 minutes for a little bit of Q&A, especially I know there were some topics that we had kind of highlighted people. So you don't need to leave right away. We're just going to go ahead and close the stream.
Let me do that.